It's Thursday, the 6th of May 2021. Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Headlines, business news you need in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. In today's headlines, ANZ announces a $3 billion profit as its home loan business accelerates, in part thanks to the HOF. Plus, the corporate regulator sues Westpac over allegations of insider trading. New South Wales records a community-transmitted case of COVID-19, triggering lockdown fears. And new car sales jump sharply. Our lead story today, ANZ Group, the country's fourth largest bank and sixth largest company, reported a cash profit of $2.98 billion for the 6 months to the end of March, slightly below expectations, but it will pay out a higher interim dividend. Chief Executive Shane Elliott said the economy was rebounding strongly. He didn't quite say it was boom times, but he came close. ANZ became the third largest home lender in the country during the half, overtaking National Australia Bank, but still well behind Commonwealth Bank and Westpac. Its Firecracker campaign, which was fronted by David Hasselhoff of Baywatch fame, triggered an incredible response, Mr. Elliott said. Rather than $200 million worth of applications each 24 hours, as per usual, there were days in which the bank did 5 times that amount. Go the HOF. Mr. Elliott said ANZ's customers were in good shape, as was the bank, but next week's federal budget and the fallout from the ending of JobKeeper were critical to the outlook. As I said a couple of days ago when Westpac reported, big bank profits are back. In overseas news, Wall Street bounced overnight on the back of some solid earnings results, including from General Motors. The market had fallen 24 hours earlier on comments from US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen about the need to lift interest rates. But Ms. Yellen clarified her statement, saying she no longer ran the Fed and had no say on rates. That helped share prices. European markets were also stronger overnight, with London's FTSE 100 finishing at a 14-month high. The French Parliament has passed laws that restrict short-haul flights when train options are available, prevent landlords from renting out uninsulated properties, and ban patio heaters, as the country strives to achieve its climate targets. France is aiming to cut its greenhouse gas emissions by 40% within the next decade, based on 1990 levels. The G7 met overnight, and the communique from the day was very focused on China changing its ways. It called for better behaviour around human rights abuses, its actions on Taiwan, and incursions in cyberspace. Beijing will not be happy. And how's this for an incentive? Fans who turn up to Major League Baseball games in New York earn a free ticket if they get vaccinated with the one-shot Johnson & Johnson jab on the way in. Locally, the S&P ASX 200 ended yesterday up 0.4% to 7,096 points after hitting a 14-month high of 7,102.5 points in early morning trading. It was the strongest closing level since February last year. Commonwealth Bank, the largest stock on the bourse, was a star performer, up 2.5%, while BHP rose 1.1%. The corporate regulator is suing Westpac for insider trading, unconscionable conduct, and breaching its financial services licensee obligations over interest rate trades back in 2016 as part of the Ausgrid privatisation. The Australian Securities and Investments Commission alleges Westpac was in the market trading on interest rate derivatives several hours before the $16.2 billion privatisation of Ausgrid was announced. This is a very serious allegation against anyone, let alone a big bank. New South Wales recorded a case of community-transmitted COVID-19 yesterday, though the origins of the virus in the man in his 50s remain unknown. The man started showing symptoms last Friday and was tested on Tuesday. Premier Gladys Berejiklian said the state's responses will be proportionate to the number of infections and their locations. Most worrying is that there's no obvious source of the infection. The federal court will hear a challenge to the federal government's banning of flights from India. The government will have to defend its biosecurity orders stopping citizens from returning home. The wave of new cases in India continues, with 386,000 cases reported yesterday and a record 3,780 deaths. Meanwhile, the Australian cricketers playing in the now suspended Indian Premier League, who can't fly back to Australia because of the government restrictions, will be moved to either Sri Lanka or the Maldives. They're expected to fly in the next couple of days and remain there until they can return to Australia. Dwelling approvals in March surged 17.4%, according to the Bureau of Statistics, and are up nearly 50% from a year ago. Unit approvals drove the increase, while standalone house approvals were up just 1%, albeit to a new record. The figures reflect the huge demand ahead of the end of the federal government's home builder program 5 weeks ago. And finally, new car sales jumped sharply in April in another sign of the economic rebound. More than 92,000 vehicles were sold in a month that typically sells closer to 75,000 units. Sales were more than double a year earlier, which was the height of the pandemic. The Ford Ranger Ute was the biggest selling vehicle, followed by the Toyota RAV4 and the Hilux Ute. That's the Fear and Greed business headlines for today. Make sure you hit follow so you get it every morning. And if you'd like more detail and more stories, search for our longer daily podcast called Fear and Greed. We also release a daily interview. Today we're talking to entrepreneur Robbie Sharon Zipser, the founder of hipages, an ASX-listed company that connects homeowners with tradies. I'll be back later with the afternoon market report. I'm Sean Aylmer. Have a great day.